Shalom. First, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha HaKadosh. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone from whom I learned this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 elect. I am Mayakala. And not sure what I'm going to call this, but I do have a short video that I want to play. This is about the so-called black farmers who have, I guess they have a group or an association that they have. And in this instance, they are declining some help or some aid from the president because, first of all, they're not satisfied that the president is not negotiating with Africa while they're being concerned with their enemies. I don't understand why, as far as the tariffs is concerned. And secondly, they don't want to deal with this. They're refusing this aid because it doesn't go to the farmers who farm things like tobacco, and he mentioned a couple of other products. I think he mentioned pork, which they don't have in the Israelites don't have no business anyway messing with the pork anyway, but and a couple more items that he says, I think about 46% of the the black so-called black farmers, they wouldn't even receive the aid because it wouldn't aid farmers who who farm in those areas. But it's a very short video, and I might stop it and bring out a few verses. I have a couple verses that I wanted to bring out. And oh yeah, this is fair use. This is just for edification purposes only. This channel is not monetized, so this is not in an effort for me to make money from this. But I'll let the video play, and like I said, I may stop and bring out a couple verses here.
All right, Eric, thank you. The organization representing black farmers across the country opting out of President Trump's $12 billion Farmer Bridge Assistance Program. Action News 5 Sydney Gray heard from the organization and explains why.
This is where the Black Farmers and Agriculturalists Association is based here in Memphis. This group represents thousands of black farmers all across the country, and its president is calling out this particular funding, saying that it's racist.
Ordinarily, BIFA would not be indifferent to the plight of all farmers.
But President Thomas Burrell says his organization had to take a stance against President Trump's new $12 billion Farmer Bridge Assistance Program.
In light of circumstances and events that have happened over the last several years, culminating in denying African American farmers and the sons and daughters of African American farmers the same rights and privileges that now the administration says it is going to make sure that it's guaranteed to farmers in general.
President Trump announced the new aid Monday. The money would be paid in late February.
We're going to make the farmers...
Now, one thing, this is a kind of a good thing that this farmer, this association that this brother is bringing out. It's a good thing that they are choosing not to be make an agreement with the Trump administration. All right. I just have a verse I wanted to bring out here, and I'm going to go into the Apocrypha. This is Sirach chapter 13, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 13 and verse 18, and it says, "What agreement is there between the hyena and the dog? And what peace between the rich and the poor?" So like I said, it's a good thing that they're choosing not to enter into an agreement and not to accept this money, because I'm sure there's like he's going to point out, there's going to be stipulations that's put on this money, and they're being pretty much putting themselves right in the hands of the administration in order to receive a handout for it. And in this way, if they do stay strong and decide not to accept this money, they're almost, in a sense, still making themselves separate from any agreement that's being offered to them. So like I said, it's kind of a good thing that they're declining to be involved in this. But you're going to see later on in the video that he said he is going to be willing to sit down and talk with him, which means that he hasn't altogether made up his mind. All right, but I'll let it continue to play.
So strong, and I'm not even talking about financially, because they just want to be able to produce what they can produce, and we're going to make them so strong that it will be indeed a golden age for farmers.
But Burrell says the U.S. has not entered into trade agreements with African countries, nor does the $12 billion include farmers who harvest tobacco, sugarcane, peanut, pork, and livestock. Many of those farmers are black.
African Americans.
All right, so you can see there is a big stipulation on it. It says those things that he mentioned that many of the black farmers harvest. There's a stipulation on it that money wouldn't be offered to them. So it's only being offered in areas where the Trump administration feel that that's important, and they don't feel as important that it's to help the other farmers who may be suffering as a result of the tariff policies or tariffs that might be being put in place. But I just wanted to bring out another verse here in Deuteronomy, just because the borrower is subject to the lender, just like it says in Deuteronomy, under the curses, and Israelites being under these curses. When this administration is making this $12 billion offer, there's stipulations being put on it. It's not available to all the farmers or all the so-called black farmers. And just a reminder that those curses are in effect for the Israelites here in America, or Babylon the Great. And I wanted to go to the curses in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 16. It says, "Cursed shall thou be in the city, and cursed shall thou be in the field. Cursed shall be thy basket and thy store." So this $12 billion that's being offered is obvious, because these black farmers are suffering. Their harvest haven't been as plentiful as they have been in the past or in past years. It's just due to the curses being here in America, or in Babylon the Great. All right. Let's see. Verse 18, I wanted to read one more here. It says, "Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy land, the increase of thy kind," meaning their livestock, their animals, "and the flocks of thy sheep." All right. So they obviously must have gone to the president, or gone to maybe another administration in search of this aid. But these stipulations are being put on this administration for certain harvests, and not mentioning those harvests that the brother just spoke of, such as livestock, tobacco. I think they mentioned pork, peanuts, and things like that. I wanted to go over to Haggai chapter 1 verse 6. I want to go to. Salakia. Haggai chapter 1 verse 6 says, Ye have sown much and bring in little. Ye eat, but ye have not enough. Ye drink, but ye are not filled with drink. Ye clothe you, but there is none warm. And he that earneth wages to put it into a bag with holes. So although these farmers are producing for themselves, is due to the fact that they're in America under these curses, that they're still not able to meet their needs. The land is not yielding to them because the land has been polluted. All right, and even when they find they're harvesting certain items, and in certain areas is just not yielding enough. It's not bringing enough for them to be able to sustain their farms. A lot of their farms are being closed down. So that was their effort in the first place, to go and get aid so that they'd be able to sustain their families and can be able to keep their farms. All right. All right, and I'll let this continue to play.
Owns 20 million acres of land in 1910. But as a result of systemic...
And I'm going to back that up because I interrupted this sentence here.
Many of those farmers are black.
African Americans owns 20 million acres of land in 1910. But as a result of systemic discrimination, have lost virtually all of that land.
Burrell also notes $4 billion meant for...
So in 1906, they owned a substantial amount of land, and there's a lot less black farmers, so-called black farmers today. All right, so that's just part of the curses. You know, they own these land, and just because they've made an agreement, and they're subject to the borrower being subject to the lender for different circumstances. They've probably had these farms taken away from them. They probably had to had to sell, because their harvests just weren't as plentiful as they have been in past years. And it just goes to show you that they are subject to these curses. I wanted to go back into Deuteronomy, back into the curses, back into chapter 28. And I wanted to drop down to verse 43. It says, The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. And a stranger being Esau Edom here in Babylon the Great, they're in positions where they're in control. They're in control of this land because they come in and have taken over this land through unaliving the original inhabitants of this land, being the tribe of Reuben and the tribe of Gad. They're taking over this land and unalived the occupants of this land, a lot of the occupants of this land, and taking over this land. And through their so-called their manifest destiny, they believe that they are entitled to this land, and now they're in positions where they're in authority. Verse 44 says, He shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. So through their coming over and unaliving the original inhabitants of this land, they're in positions now where they can give out or put stipulations on their so-called aid, and put stipulations on their loans. So the Israelites are subject to be the ones who have to agree to their different terms. And a lot of these terms are sometimes in an effort to make sure that they not only take whatever it is that the Israelites contribute to this land, or contribute to through harvesting, and try to make a living in this land, but this is just in an effort for them to be able to not only take advantage of that, but also through their unfair loans that they give out, and putting the stipulation on the aid that they offer, they'll be able to get that land back. So not only will they have the land back, but they will also have the Israelites working on that land. That's what sharecropping was about. All right. And another thing I wanted to mention was this farmer and this organization. Why is he being concerned with the tariffs that's being put on Africa, or the lack of negotiation with Africa, and not realizing that Africa, the Hagarenes, they're just another one of. I mean, although there are Israelites, there are some Israelites there, but for the most part, the so-called the African, they're your enemies as well. All right. But I'll let this continue to play, and they're your enemies according to. You can look that up in Psalms chapter 83, and see who your enemies are. Who our enemies to the Israelites are. I'll let this continue to play. There's only a couple more minutes, a couple more seconds actually left on it.
Minority farmers by the Biden administration due to discrimination. Money, he says, never made it to black farmers because white farmers, he says, filed lawsuits to stop the payments.
I think that it's time that fairness becomes in a very simple.
So we'll see when they found out, when the white farmers found out that this particular aid was being offered to the black farmers only, they made it difficult. They complained about them not being included in this aid. So they have put a stop to it. This aid being given to the black farmers in the past. All right, that's just how your enemy is. Your enemy felt like he's trying to say that he's being discriminated against. He's not being offered the aid. That's just part of the hate. That's just part of their nature, is to try to put any kind of obstacle in front of the Israelite to stop him from being able to make a living, to stop him from being able to take care of his family and produce for himself. All right, I'm going to back this up just a little bit.
And meant for minority farmers by the Biden administration due to discrimination. Money, he says, never made it to black farmers because white farmers, he says, filed lawsuits to stop the payments.
I think
so. The white farmers filed lawsuits saying that they were being discriminated against. All right.
that it's time that fairness becomes, in a very simple word, something that the government would embrace. Fairness.
It's not a matter of don't give it to A. The question is, if you're going to give it to A, why are you not going to give it to B?
In downtown Memphis, Sydney Gray, Action News 5.
Avifa plans to file an injunction against the Trump administration to stop the payments. In a response from the White House, they say, quote, the president's announcement reflects the president's commitment to helping our farmers who will have the support they need to bridge the gap between Biden's failures and the president's successful policies taking effect. Burrell said he'd be more than willing to meet with the president to discuss a solution.
This fall, thousands of homeowners in Ohio are switching from gas to a heat pump system. Here's why. These new...
All right, Salakia for that.
Georgia's #1 industry, which is...
I think that was the goal of the administration to...
All right, Salakia for that. I dropped my phone there. But I just wanted to bring out one final verse on this, because as you could hear at the end, the Farmers Association said that they would be willing to meet and negotiate with President Trump, but not realizing that you don't want to, that they're better off going the route that they've been going and staying strong by not accepting this aid, because any agreement that they enter in with this administration is going to end up not being in their favor. All right, because you cannot negotiate with your enemy. You can't trust your enemy. I just have one more verse that I wanted to bring out. Indicates just that. And I'm going back into the Apocrypha, back into the book of Ecclesiasticus. And I want to bring out, go to chapter 12 and verse 10, and it says, never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. All right. And even though it appears that though the president wants to give out this 12 billion, I believe he's put stipulations on it, but it is for a reason. It's not because he wants to be helpful to the Israelites. He's doing this in an effort to think that he can win over, so that it'll be for the good of the Republican Party in the upcoming elections. That's essentially what he's trying to do, is had a so-called black population look at him in a favorable manner, saying that he to make us believe that he's helpful, and you can see obviously that he doesn't care about the Israelites. You can see what he's doing to the Israelites, particularly the Northern Kingdom, the so-called Mexicans and the Venezuelans. You can see what he's doing. He's deporting them, sending them out of this country. Ephraimites, or the so-called Puerto Ricans. You can see what he's doing to them. All right. So at the same time as he's deporting Northern Kingdom tribes, he's trying to once again line up himself for future for political reasons in the future. All right, this is in an effort to gain popularity amongst the so-called black voter. Verse 11 says, though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him, and thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. So just as he appeared to be before the election a friend to the northern tribes, as soon as those northern tribes that had came into this country, and just like the previous administration did, a lot of those from the northern country, from the northern tribes were put on the voter ranks and were allowed to vote. All right, and that's basically what their plan was. And Trump is the same thing. He played to that base, so that the ones that are legally here that can vote, he tried to persuade them in an effort to vote in the Republican Party, vote for the Republican Party. And just as soon as they did do that, you can see that he revealed him true self. And now you can see what he was all about. Soon as he was finished, soon as they got him into office, he turned right around and started deporting many of their family members. I mean, a lot of people who are actually citizens of this country ended up having difficult time getting snatched up and being questioned as to were they being questioned as to find out if they were actually citizens of this country. All right. But like I said, I didn't want to make this very long. I pray that this has been edifying to the listener. And I'm going to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Ruach HaKodesh. Shalom.